Check, check. Microphone check, check, check. Oh, yes, indeed. We're going to do some overtime, but reverse engineer this. Hi, welcome to the show. It's the Sully Sunday stream here on your internet, on your YouTube. We started a little early today because I'm a little peckish. I brought some buttered toast. Irish, Kerrygold Irish butter. And cinnamon raisin toast. Pepperidge Farm remembers. You know, and I'm enjoying myself. Labor Day weekend, the unofficial end of the summer season. Summer will end naturally on September the 22nd, when upon the autumnal equinox. And yeah, let's see if anyone notices we started early today. Just because I was bored. I'm feeling it. I'm ready. I'm ready now. I'm like the Dirk Diggler in Act 3 of Boogie Nights. I'm ready now. I chose the most clickbaity title I could imagine. I really did. Safe space. Safe space. Kathleen Kennedy's safe space. Making a safe space. Here now. Safe space. Kathleen Kennedy's safe space. Fixing the past's mistakes. Today, we're making the future a safer space by fixing the past. Safe space. Star Wars. Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. Please let the Star Wars stay. I would show the Bill Murray clip from the Intergalactic Lounge Singer. It was from a Saturday Night Live skit when he was hosting. He was not a cast member. But that was his tribe and his gang. Yes, I started a little bit early because Star Wars is dead. Did you hear? Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is dead. MCU, Star Wars is dead. Hey, did you hear? Star Wars is dead. I'm just making fun. I love Gary Beekler. Don't clip me if you want, but make sure you include this part. I have a love for Gary Beekler. He gave me two of the best advices. I was a channel member of his back in 2019, 2020. You know, in the fever pitch of the Phantom Menace days. These were fun times. I came in at the end of the Phantom Menace. I came in at the end of the High Republic. The High Republic was a great YouTube Star Wars show. You got Jeff Hicks, you had Ethan Van Sciver, you had Jeremy Griggs, you had a whole bunch of, you know, it was just a. And then, way leads to way. Leaf turns to leaf. And as Eden sunk to grief, as dawn turns into day, nothing gold can stay. Stay gold, pony boy, stay gold. Coming to you from our Boston studios with my executive producers, a Pikachu and a plushie of X-Ray Girl, Gary Beekler's producer. So I'm trying to get some of that nerdrotic magic. The two things that Gary Beekler said over these that I picked up is on the member streams. He was like, if you want to make an effort to be a YouTuber like this, you know what I mean? Try it. You just need a really decent microphone, a really good microphone, a decent webcam, and have something to say. And this is basically a paraphrase of what I feel was Gary's like big message. And I took that seriously. So I bought a refurbished desktop. I got a Blue Yeti boom mic combo kit. And I started making better content. We all start. I feel we should all be starting on our iPhones, and don't panic. Yeah, with a tripod clip with a ring light. The Jenny Nicholson way. Seriously, Jenny Nicholson too. I love her. And welcome to my clickbait. My Star Wars is dead. Then the second piece of advice Gary Buechler laid down was about adopting gratitude. And we all know, if you tune in during the week, you see my gratitude list show. That was directly inspired by Gary Buechler of Nerdrotic on his suggestion. And it's had the biggest impact on my life. And it's the rudder of my ship. It really is. It is wisdom, and it comes from within, and it gives you perspective. With this perspective, you can better find your purpose. What is my purpose? To be the best Eric that I can be at every given moment. When sometimes that Eric is hot and cold and weak or strong or hungry or satisfied or drunk or sober. Be the best you can be. Be a better you. And focus on what you have instead of bitching about what you don't have. I mean, seriously, this gratitude list has literally reformatted my self-talk. I don't know about you. I'm an only child. And so I was my own best friend. You know what I mean? Seriously, I pal around with stuffed animals. That's a part of the bit. Because over there, you see, the Cecilized Canadian Bear and the Critical Drinker plushies. Well, they're running the show from the control studio. They're manning the mics, the boom, the cameras. They're the production squad in the booth. There you go. And hi, great. It's good to see everyone out there in TV land. We usually go on live at 3. There's plenty to talk about. I just wanted to chill out and get to it. Because after this, I'm having supper at the pub. I'm going to get the chicken curry. And a pint of Guinness or two. And I'm going to wear my Safe Space shirt. And maybe I'll find that nerdy geek girl who wants to cosplay with me. Star Wars is alive and well. That was clickbait. I am a 51-year-old Generation 1 Star Wars fan. I was gonna bust out all the books that I have. I don't have I don't have any Star Wars novels. But I have 6 of the most important books I feel as a Star Wars fan. Hey, Connor Waltman, how are you? Yes, I love Macross. Awesome. Dude, this cost a couple of pennies, man. This is like the heart of I got 4 Valkyries. I got a regular skull one. This is a 1 in 70. This is a 1 in 100 scale. And but this is Bandai High Metal Macross. Do you remember Love 1984? This is Hikaru Ichijo, Rick Hunter. But this is his skull one. Because there are 3 skull ones in that movie. And one is Roy's, where she dies in, and it gets destroyed. So Rick doesn't inherit Roy's old, Valkyrie. There's that Act 2 scene where Max is skull one. Seriously, it's the blue paint job and the VF-1S head and everything. And you don't need a strike pack when you're in the atmosphere. So it was like that scene on Earth. So it was just like straight up, F-14 looking Valkyrie in the sky, in Earth skies, in the atmosphere. You do not need a fast pack. Fast pack strictly for space. You eject that shit when you're coming, in. I got that. I picked up. Do you remember Love? I got an all regions 4K Blu-ray player. So just for with English subtitles, mine doesn't have. Oh, I'll have to get another copy then. Yeah, I love Robotech. I love Macross. And I got these two bad Larrys. I always wanted to start a Max and Miria shelf, so I got bookmarked. I got the Quadrille and Rao model with Miria Purina in it, but it's a model you have to paint and assemble. But it's cool English subtitles. Hey, that's good news. Thank you, Connor Waltman, and welcome to the show. Yeah, I mean the Valkyrie for me is probably the perfect mecha for me. It's just it's a matter of taste. There is an opinion. There is no wrong answer here. But it's my favorite. I literally have 4 of these. So yeah, I got 3 of those. They're a 1 in 100 scale, and I got a 1 in 72 scale Roy Fokker Skull one. Beautiful. It's got a fastback as well, and and we'll bust that out one of these days. And I got a playlist for that as well. There's you can find a whole playlist if you'd like. I can hustle that down, can't I? Can't you help out with your own show, Sully? You can't be relying on these stuffed animals for everything. There's only so much they can do. Seriously. And I hope you're having an awesome day. I hope that you have gratitude in your heart. Yeah, I mean, seriously, Gary Piekler of Nerdrotic really helped change my life with 2 salient pieces of wisdom. One, here you go, that is a playlist of the YouTubes here at the Reverend Sully channel. And I also have a... I use it as a base for my camera, but I got a Saber Cyclone. This is a very, very tiny scale. So it's runty in a way. It's so tiny, I'm afraid to take it out of its package. But it's actually got a good use right now as my my boom mic, my microphone boom. Yeah, I had the and it's also under it has Robotech and I think Crunchyroll and Robotech licensing on this. This is done by 32.5. It's the Saber Cyclone. I had the Barbie doll size Scott Bernard back in '85. That was like one of the last toys I got. I turned 13 years old in November of 1985. So, and my dad was looking at me like strange, like, you're 13 years old, kid. You want a toy? I'm like, yeah. And it's like this huge doll size version of Scott Bernard's, Cyclone. I love that. It was fully transformable. And but I've always loved Lancer's, Yellow Belmont's Saber Cyclone. You know what I mean? It's blue and it's really cool. And honestly, yeah, the Cyclone comes in at second place for me for best realized kind of mechs. See, the Valkyrie, the VF1s of Macross, for me, just that's the perfect variable fighter mecha giant robot. Well, giant robo is a different thing. You got mechs and you got giant robots, and that's a distinction. Let's look that up. Giant robot versus mech. A mecha is an abbreviation first used in Japanese of mechanical. In Japanese, mecha encompasses all mechanical objects, including cars, guns, computers, and other devices. And robot or giant robot is used to distinguish a limbed vehicles from other mechanical devices. So the Valkyrie transforms into a giant robot. It has 2 other modes, though. It has a fighter plane mode and then something called Gerwalk or Guardian mode, where the plane can use its It has a hover mode, like a VTOL mode of transforming, its legs. Therefore, its aft thrusters are now in a manipulable array. You can use them as in a hover mode and have your arms free as well as kind of like Waldo's. Waldo's are the arms you see, like, Outlaw Star. Remember that? That was great because spaceships will have Waldo's and, those mechanical arms to get things. That is, yes. Oh boy, yeah. And welcome to my clickbait show. Star Wars is dead. Or is it just the Disney fans that smell that way? Pew, 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 pew. That's a joke. Mm. Mm-hmm. Gundam is a giant robot. Yes. Transor Z, aka Mazinga. That's a giant robot. But a Valkyrie is a mecha. And so is the Cyclone. I mean, the Cyclone is a great power armor for a human-sized, for the rider. That the motorcycle transforms into a battle armor. So you are the mecha. And it's pound for pound, it's probably one of the most, strongest mecha. I mean, like, you could probably defend yourself against a Gundam with one of these, or any of the giant robots. You have shoulder pad missiles. You've got, cannons. You get, you've got mobility, limited flight. Just, never bet against the little guy in basketball. I mean, Prince was like 5'4". How tall was Prince? How tall was Prince? 5'2". Yeah, 5'2". Prince was 5'2". Prince Rajaz Nelson of Minnesota. He was an exceptionally good basketball player. It was legendary too. I mean, but it's like he's 5'2". Once you clear the big guy, you can get underneath the big guy. You can get into position. You can, and if you're sneaking, you have a good shot and you have a decent shot. Seriously, once the big guy is like done guarding you, it's all space between you and the bucket. It's just, I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but I respect the hell out of it. Yeah, but Prince was a grown man, 5'2", and he could fucking kick your ass in basketball. Yeah, seriously, man. That's the truth. I have a nice little light snack, some toast. I'm having a good morning. I'm having a good day. I'm full of gratitude. And seriously, this is the Sully, the Sunday Sully stream. Welcome to it. Thank you very much. We will be talking about comic books. We will. Picture of my grandfather, who is always, with me. And it's like, sometimes I just pretend I'm talking to him, and everything gets easier. Seriously, you think I'm talking to you, right? The Pikachu thinks the same thing. More toast, please. Mm-hmm. Star Wars would be a better place if it wasn't for all the old fans. It's true. Disney Star Wars, I mean. Lucas Star Wars is fine. It's a closed entity. It can't be perturbed. It's imperturbable. It can't be hurt. There is no breaking of canon. Showtime places. See, I went on early, and sometimes I forget to put on the party lights too. Yeah. Star Wars is not dead. Star Wars is alive. Is it well? Star Wars suffers from what everything else suffers from. It's trying to fix the past with overcompensation. There is no fixing the past. It's like you're trying to make the future a safer place by sanitizing the past or making excuses for it and giving it struggle sessions. I think it's the most pathetic thing in the world. I try not to be judgmental, but it's like the constant barrage of Star Wars not being taken for what the time and era it was produced in. Just at prima facie, just on brass tacks, on the level. It was a movie filmed in 1976? 1975, 1976? It was filmed in Britain, in England, at the Elstree Studios. I mean, to shake your fist at the past and be angry like, oh, my diversity, my representation, there's not enough females, and just I have a big spot. I have a big thought about this. We're going to talk about this. This is why we went early. I'm just talking about the show. I'm talking about Star Wars. I love talking about Star Wars. I love Star Wars theory. I hate to see all the crap he's been getting, but he's a big boy and he can deal with it. I like watching him talk to other people. And there's something about being a sports fan. It's quasi-related. Okay. Fandom. Are you a sports fan? Have you ever known a sports fan? Do you have a culture of radio call-in shows, of sports radio where you live? I'm born and bred in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America. And since I was a child, there has always been a huge market for not just our sports teams and our loyalty to our sports teams, but something called sports radio, usually on the AM side of the dial. They have just call-in shows. One of my favorites was Dale Arnold, and he said it was called Hockey Talk, and it was on Wednesdays at 3:30. And he said, basically, you can only talk about hockey for 15 minutes because there's not a lot to it. You shoot, you score, there are fights, and there are lines for the restroom and lines for beer and line changes on the ice. I mean, there's always something to talk about. But hockey's a really kind of basic sport. You're going to get your most enjoyment out of it going to a game or watching it live. That's just this. There's not much to it. They're very humble, plain spoken. Players, there's not a lot of outrageous personalities that dominate, a locker room or a hockey team. But in Boston, you got to realize too, historically, like in the 20th century, the Boston teams were not champion winners, except for the Boston Celtics. They did a couple of, they had a couple of championships. So, but the Red Sox, there was the curse of the Bambino. It wasn't in 2004 until we started winning World Series, and we won 4 since then. I mean, the New England Patriots used to be called the Patsies. I mean, things changed in the 21st century for Boston sports. But one thing I always knew was just the fandom of being a sports fan. A lot of it has a negative energy to it, especially when the team is underperforming and not putting out a good, product in a way. They're not being entertaining, because they're not winning. There are a lot of, hey, there are winning teams. There are losing teams. There is there are standings. Like the Red Sox, as of today, are in 3rd place out of fifth in the Atlantic and the AL East, the American League East, and they're 9 games out of first place, and I don't even know how many games out of a wild card. I mean, I still can't, I know wild cards in baseball. Hey, Joseph Ricci, how are you today? I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking about Star Wars. It's fandom. Star Wars is dead. No, it's not. It just smells that way. And there are real stinkers on both sides of this. Seriously, that's one thing I can't stand about the Disney fans, though. They it is a postmodern attitude that there is no admission to your contribution to this, to the negativity. They are completely blameless angels. They're here to fix, to make the future a safe space by fixing the past and fixing Star Wars. And that Star Wars is a broken, flawed property that can be evolved and elevated if we could only fix it of its sus past about being so patriarchal and so white, and so British in a way too. That's where I was seeing. Is Star Wars dead? If you want it to be, sure, exactly. I mean, Lucas era is closed. You can't break canon, in my humble opinion. It's not, because I consider Lucas canon to be closed. That's it, kaput. It's not a head canon. I have something called G canon, which was the old ways in the Old Testament. We had like a pecking order to like what is canon, and I was talking about, do I believe in canon? I believe that, as a comic book fan as well, yes, I believe in canon. I believe in lore. I believe in, ultimately respecting it. But we do need to have space for new writers, new ideas, and new stories, ultimately. I mean, seriously, the Superman's origin story was retold countless times throughout the golden and silver ages. It could have been just 2 pages, but deviations in the design of the spacecraft, you know what I mean? Little things here and there, just, but what is canon? What is absolute canon? I mean, it's always changing in a way too. But with Star Wars, is pretty darn simple. It's, and especially with Lucas canon, and just considering that closed. Disney is its own thing. I consider Disney to just be, it's its own alternate universe. That's using George Lucas logic too. It's like when he was considering, yes, the EU, the Legends, the expanded universe, the books and everything. I have my movies and it's my universe, and they're doing their own thing over there. But also there was overlap over time, and George came to and with Lucas Arts and Lucas Books and the old story group, and it was a tighter ship, and Joseph Ricci says canon is canon. You can't break it. You can create new canon with new characters. When you reference original canon, you can continue from it. If you redo canon, that is wrong. Yeah, and then editorially, look at DC Comics. Like editorially, we're coming from a place where the Justice Society of America, these classically golden age characters that have been around for 85 years, had their first appearance in Doomsday Clock, I think number 7, or Infinite Frontier number 0 or 1, circa 2020, I think. Yeah, about that. 2020. Yeah. When did Doomsday Clocks? Oh my goodness! Hello, doctor. Anyone call for the doctor? And if the lie we need is to bring new and young fans, we need to give them a new universe by destroying the past. That is idiotic. Well, postmodernists want to destroy the past anyway, because it's all been tainted and sullied by being adjacent to all that hatred and allowing it to happen in the first place, and about being systematically problematic, and the whole caboodle, the whole academic critical thought thing, man. And Seriously. Woo, it's a lot of thinking. And but Disney Star Wars is quite literally is different. It's its own thing. I can respect that. I mean, seriously, I'm free. I'm free now. I can stand up straight in my safe space T-shirt that I made, in honor of Kathleen Kennedy's, new Star Wars, the female forward, the Force is female. Yeah. I mean, hey, evolve and elevate the iconic brand. The existing customer base is out of touch. I got these lessons from the old VP of Bud Light, and the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, and that was her job, was to elevate. And she comes from a Harvard Business School. This is the Kool-Aid that they're all drinking. Huzzah! In a way. Let's see, my phone is blowing up. My phone is blowing up. Oh yeah, live now. Oh good. It gave me an alert that my show has started when I started it. Now live on your channel, Star Wars is dead. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's why they tear down, statues and yeah. Or stand up for history and stand up for humans and not the postmodernists in their Marxist ways. True. So for me personally, because as a Star Wars fan about canon, I don't give a shit about the expanded universe. I don't. I mean, I know it exists. I know it's there. I've read a few of the books. I've got friends that are encyclopedic knowledge about EU/Legends. I've got the Rensler books, the Paul Duncan archive books, and I've got the movie novelizations of the 6 movies. Like Revenge of the Sith is such a good book by Matthew Stover. I mean, if you ever wanted to enjoy the prequels a little more, then if you don't already, I mean, try the novelizations. There are a lot, there's cutting room scenes. There is if you ever enjoyed Revenge of the Sith, the bonus material has deleted scenes that didn't make the final cut. Why we haven't got a special edition of Revenge of the Sith, including Padme inventing the rebellion? That just aha. But that's interesting to say too, because that's in a different. I mean, we're going to the old canon, G canon. G canon was only the movies, the novelizations, the radio play, and that's it. And anything official. I mean, seriously, the Star Wars Holiday Special has G canon. Fucking, there's no bones about that. Come on. But Splinter of the Mind's Eye is not G canon. Splinter of the Mind's Eye is an interesting slice of Star Wars book, isn't it? And also the Han Solo at Smuggler, is it Smuggler's End, or is it Galaxy? And then there was the Lando Calrissian books too. Oh my goodness, he's here. Speak his name. Exactly. Hence what is canon. So for me personally, it's yes, EU Legends is canon, but it's not quite G canon. And for me, I'm more of a G canon person. I don't even include I love the Marvel Star Wars stories. There are 110 issues. It's 107 issues and 3 annuals from 1977 to 1985. It was the little magazine that saved Marvel Comics. Trust me, because that movie that got Marvel Comics, people buying Marvel Comics again. That's history. And I love those. And there was newspaper strips as well. There was another non-related Star Wars stories. They were not reprints of the Marvel comics. They were their own syndicated newspaper Sunday, they were in the Sunday funnies because, and they were just so interesting. I mean, but is that canon? No. Were the Marvel comics ever canon? No. But then you have like this really creative, like kind of, taking things from the past, you know what I mean? Like in the new stuff. Right? Yeah, Tales of the Bounty Hunters is one of my favorites too. I love the Dark Empire, and I love the Thrawn trilogy, and that started the whole interconnectivity of Star Wars books, and about LucasArts canon, the book division. They really had it. Everything was connected. They had a continuity. They established that as the rules, and opposed to, say, like the Star Trek novels. I grew up reading those Star Trek novels, like The Entropy Effect by Vonda McIntyre, Dreadnought, Yesterday's Sun, the pocket books. They were novels, but there's one thing that they couldn't do was make any changes. If you did something in the book, you had to fix it by the end. And unless they were like an arc style, they started getting into arc styles like in the mid to late 80s. If you had a writer do a couple of, gets to recycle their own characters and stuff. But there was no continuity, that was Star Wars did that. And they made a big deal of that. So you had to have known what happens in the courtship of Princess Leia to know what's like something else that happens later on in the books. I didn't really like that book. But they were pulpy, and they were huge and epic in scale. And especially with the next generation of heroes as well. And I mean, for a piece of canon that has been relegated to the dustbin, or if it's alive and well because it's closed and it can't be harmed, we had this heartbreaking story that I only just got sassed, to like recently, of Jaina Solo going to Boba Fett for training on how to take out her evil brother. Hey, AL, good to see you. Pikachu says hello. He sends big love to AL and AL's family. Just God bless you. And if you can, send me an email, because I can't find your email address, and I'll get that to Adam Frey and that thing too. And I wanted to respond to you. So yeah, hit me up there on an email, please. I looked through my folders and stuff, and I was like, where is it? Oh, and thank you, Ale. Cool. Good to see you. Ale had a fire in her home, and they're going through some tough times, and she lost a lot of it, physical stuff, but everyone in the family is apparently unharmed, and I feel blessed and grateful that nobody was harmed, and Pikachu is volunteering to report for duty as well. Yeah, I don't know. Dark Jedi, Gray Jedi. I mean, those are other conversations for other people, for not for me. I mean, I don't believe in the Gray Jedi. I mean, you could, or a Dark Jedi, or someone like Balin Skoll. You know what I mean? The Force user. Just with an orange lightsaber. So, that's That's not Star Wars. That's Disney Star Wars. A great example of blurring the lines between villain and hero. George Lucas Star Wars was a lot different intrinsically because it was a fictional place that we knew was make believe. It didn't represent the real world. Of course, the real world informs us. Yes, all art is not political. I'm not going to agree to that. And I think that people that just rely upon 20th century fascism and Germany are missing the point of empire. I mean, there were so many other empires out there, especially the Roman Empire and the Ottomans and the Chinese as well as the Han. You know what I mean? And the Mongols. I mean, these are like legitimate empire out there. I mean, yeah. Hey, Adam Frey, what is up with you today? Good to see you. What I meant by that is Luke becoming the emperor. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you need space to tell stories, so there's gonna be like people that tread the line between good and evil. You know what I mean? And then you have the wonderful story of Darth Revan. I mean, that's huge. I love those KOTOR stories. I came on to those pretty late as well, and that was a pretty late addition too to canon and to lore. That KOTOR stuff only came about when, like 2002 and beyond, and it's a quiet Sunday, took a walk with the wife, and now I'm going to read a Hulk omnibus and listen to Sully. Why, thank you. You've got good taste. I'll use my DJ voice to make it a soothing experience for you and your loved ones as we chill on our Labor Day weekend. Usually my FM rock radio station would have like the Labor Day weekend. We have A to Z here. Oh, I was talking about fandom and sports radio. Okay. I don't know about you, but there was nothing a bit more angrier and entitled. I mean, I see the same behavior all over Star Wars and all over fictions and all over this fighting thing that we got going on, especially within the generational thing. But here, it's a fair I think it's a fair kind of comparison. Sports fandoms to our Star Wars fandoms. I mean, there's nothing more entitled and angrier than a Red Sox fan of the 20th century. Never, you know what I mean? Just of the late 20th century, where I grew up in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. You know what I mean? My first 30 years on this planet, you know what I mean? We weren't champion. Well, the Celtics were. I mean, sorry. And then, the Bruins went to the Stanley Cup a few times in 88 and 90. The Patriots went to the Super Bowl as a wild card in 1985 against the Chicago Bears. So it's always like there's always been an angry kind of edge to it, and it always there would be shit talking. There would be a lot of the athletes and the coaches had to been able to take that, especially if they're not performing on the ice or on the field, if they're not winning, and if they're not getting into the playoffs and they're not winning championships. It's Rev Sully. It's gmail.com. I used to have that on my Twitter, like as a that you could get a hold of me through, and I used to have that on the YouTube as well. But one time someone took me up on that, and it was a comic book creator, Scott Snyder. Yeah, and we had a conversation off air about hey Bone, what up? Hello, good to see you. And yeah, talking Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. MCU. Star Wars is dead. Just being silly. And I was happily poking fun at Gary. He's just a good guy. But what I grew up like in this like toxic environment. It was toxic being a Bruins fan, being a Red Sox fan. And we got Sully from Southie on the car phone here. Hey, these guys fucking suck there. I mean, you can't put them on the power play because, and they can't get their defense together. Seriously, that's like, in the 1990s, we had a really kind of interesting group hate, toxic fandom thing going on as Red Sox fans. It was called the Yankee Suck Years. It was an arena chant that started in the bleachers of Fenway Park in the early to mid 1990s. And it just caught on like wildfire. So you could get this arena chant going anywhere in the city at any time, and especially at other sports events. I started the Yankee Suck chant a few times at Bruins games, and it happens. But just the entire it's outlawed now. It's banned. You can get kicked out of the park. You can get kicked out of Fenway Park for saying that out loud. Yeah, you're talking about your First Amendment rights there, Chief, pal, sizzle chest, turkey pockets, however you identify here in Fenway Park, and talking that kind of stuff. But the entire arena yelling, "Yankees suck! Yankees suck! Yankees suck!" Dude. This is real. This happened. And that kind of typifies for me being a Boston Red Sox fan. Before we started winning, before the Tito Francona years, before Cowboy Up, before the this was like, in the 21st century, Fenway Park's a kinder, gentler place. It's family friendly and smoke free. It's cashless as well now. It's a wonderful place, and winning the World Series a few times has really taken the toxicity out of fandom here in the Boston area. But so I'm seeing these correlations over to Marvel Comics, to DC Comics, to Star Trek, to Star Wars, and it's like, so the actors and the creators are like the players and the coaches. And they can't take the heat from the crowd, and it's always, oh, Jesus. Yeah, we used to have a joke around here saying who was better, Jeter or Noma, and history proved that one out there. Derek Jeter was the fucking man. Andy Pettit was the fucking man. Roger Clemens threw some of his best stuff there. And at least he had the common decency to pitch for the fucking Blue Jays for a couple of years before signing on as a Yankee. There's nothing worse than a Red Sox saying right with the Yankees. Like, look at Johnny Damon. Wade Boggs. I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah. I know you're a Yankees fan. But yeah, I mean, y'all can just attest to that, being like there's this great Joe Rogan joke in an old episode of News Radio where he hotwired this to have a speaker in there. Like, how does it work? Red Sox suck. And just, it's really loud. It was really funny, which is funny because, Joe Rogan is kind of from Boston as well. He grew up in Newton. But yeah, so I don't know. Can have fandoms been sanitized? Is it only for the oversensitive? I mean, I look at the mother of all fandoms, and it's got to be sports fandoms. Like, if you're overseas and you're a soccer fan, there is crazy ass soccer fans, football fans, hooligans, ultras, and that's just in Europe. It just smells that way. I mean, I think that, we can say that Lucas era is dead, or is it? Or it's alive in our hearts. It's alive in our shelves, and it's alive. You know what I mean? In our headspaces, and it can't be ruined by Disney canon. Disney canon is literally a cheaper copy. It's inferior, and they cherry pick it. They cherry pick the best stuff from the Legends canon, which is kind of just, it shows just like it's like, what were you thinking in the first place? Well, we needed a safe space to make more stories. I can get that, but, sure. Lego Star Wars is where it's at. Oh yeah, I love news radio. Oh gosh, Phil Hartman's last show. He was doing that, and he was Troy McClure on The Simpsons. But Phil Hartman was killed by his psychotic wife in some kind of a burger self deletion. I don't know if YouTube's going to flag for saying what these days, but like that was a good show, especially his memorial show. That was a funny one. Yeah. Oh man, I remember being like just Mark McGuire and doing the whole Sammy Sosa thing and like the count and the big, you know what I mean, when he beat the record, but now we know it's kind of like full of shit or just full of roids, performance, or should we just accept it as part of the cult? I mean, then we look at then we got someone like bringing it home for me in the Red Sox, someone like Dustin Pedroia, who was like a really natural athlete, but he was like, he's like really lean, and he could just hit the ball and he could feel the ball and throw the ball. That's it. That was Ripperino, Troy McClure from such ads as the Lemon Press and the decapitation of Leadfoot Lanny, and zinc. What would this world be without zinc? Doesn't this have everything you ever wanted, Silva? A nice hot rock for Jub to lay on. Oh, Troy McClure. I get it. Oh man, and it's but fandoms. I mean, because Star Wars is dead. Amanda Stenberg has done it again and made a hit video, and that it's a weaponized empathy. It's complete one-wayness too. I mean, the new fans, the Disney fans, they're blameless angels. They don't contribute anything negative to Star Wars. They're in the process of saving Star Wars. They're on a rescue mission to save Star Wars from the old fans and its dirty, sullied past. Seriously, this is therefore, have your Disney Star Wars and keep it. Just keep it. Yeah. I remember a game in 1999, was it? And Grady Little, I think it was in the ALCS or something. We were playing against Cleveland in it was the ALDS or the ALCS, I forget. I remember Kenny Lofton was trying to slide into first, and he got his hand stepped on by Pedro Martinez. But Grady Little noticed there was a camera in center field that was pointed like they were stealing signs. It was a CCTV, closed circuit TV. It wasn't a network TV. It wasn't up on a sports network, and they had to cover that up. And then after that, the Cleveland Indians started sucking. You know what I mean? Salam and good day to you, sir. Indeed, live and direct from Saudi Arabia. It's Mo. Hello, Mo. I have given up on Disney Star Wars and never watched any of it. Well, cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's this, and because there's so much still to like the Lucas stuff. Indeed. I mean, I can always go back and read all of those EU books in order, and that will take a while. That will keep me occupied for and I can put my attention and put my fan love into that. And, your time, it's in the investment of time that we put into this. The Red Sox have their own. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then we hired him back. the next year after like he said he had to go spend some time being. It was like that was like baseball cancellation. You know what I mean? He's Joey Alex Cora is our coach today. Is he doing a decent job? Sure. I mean, it's all about talent. They got a good team. You know what I mean? They're just not playing to their potential. And oh yeah, I mean, just like fandom. I mean, there. Look at a sports team. I mean, there's jeering. There are arena chants. It's kind of merciless, but that's fandom. That's people investing the time in the brand and the loyalty and the colors and the jerseys and who show up, who talk about it, you know, and their off time as part of their culture, part of their identity. You know, just like, has anyone watched the new Crow movie? I'm not interested, to be honest. I would be interested as a comic book fan to catch up with the old first comic books, the bar stuff. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I just the first movie was really good. The second one with Iggy Pop, not so much. And yeah, I mean, yeah, time is precious. The most precious thing is time, and to how you want to spend your time. I mean, do you want to spend it on giving a chance to another Disney project that you know is going to make you cringe, and or you pick up an old book? Like, seriously, I mean, I love the prequel books. The prequel novelizations rule. The Star Wars trilogy, written the Star Wars, the further adventures of Luke Skywalker is written by George Lucas, but ghostwritten by he also it's coming. It'll come back to me in just a second. Richard Dean Anderson, not Richard Dean Anderson. Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Alan Dean Foster. And it was Splinter of the Mind's Eye was written as a potential sequel. That could have been the Empire Strikes Back story. And yeah, and until George Lucas hired Lee Brackett. And then apparently George Lucas doesn't like Empire Strikes Back all that much because he had a laissez-faire approach to it, and he felt like he didn't he didn't have enough oversight. In the final project, he was like, that's why he chose Richard Marquand and he was like the second unit director for Return of the Jedi, and he was on, and that's why Return of the Jedi is Return of the Jedi. It's a bunch of Muppets, while Empire Strikes Back is a bit more of like, it's got a classic. Classic Hollywood love story kind of thing, the thing between Han and Leia. They really pull that movie together, and everything else is great. I mean, too, but it's just like you have this solid, relationship. It's just, wow, it really good. Empire Strikes Back. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. True that. We also talk about comic books on this show too. I have funny books I bought this week from my local comic book shop. Yeah, Star Wars, but Star Wars is dead. I don't know. I mean, it fell fallow between 1985 and 1991. So there were, 6 years isn't a lot of time, sometimes when you're a grown up. But it was really crucial for Star Wars because at that time there was nothing except for like the West End Games role-playing book. There was like nothing Star Wars new that came out. The Marvel comics ended at 107, and we pick up Star Wars again with corporate syzygy, making sure your corporate products are all in a line. So there's an official EU timeline that includes Dark Empire and the Thrawn trilogy as 3 to 4 years after the Battle of Endor. I think. Mr. Yano Fui! Hello! Thank you very much. Good to see you. Konnichiwa da. There was a reprint out this week. Didn't get you some. There was a reprint of the Muhammad Ali Superman oversized magazine, but it's $15. And hello, Mark McGrath. How you doing? And where was I going with that? I forgot. Konnichiwa da. Konnichiwa. Very good, very good. And but yeah, fandom. I mean, so there you have the Star Wars coaches and players, the creatives and the talent, and they can't take the heat from the bleachers. You know what I mean? You're not throwing your best stuff. You struck out how many times? And someone tells you, get the fucking bat off your shoulder, kid. You can't take that. How is it not kind of the same thing? I don't know. Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? It's just because it's not about. It's you get Ahsoka, and you get the Acolyte, and you get things like, okay, there was a scene taken out of an episode of Clone Wars where one of the clones had painted a sexy kind of bomber girl on the what's it called, the air support unit with the ball cannons, the ball turret cannons on it. It slides open yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Is it LAAT, I think? I should know this by heart. And but it was like one of those sexy bomb girl, it was like a bomber thing, and just like a World War II reference, and it was a cheesecakey kind of Padme, and Anakin Jedi just chuckles at it, and they got removed because of the sense of of that critical thinking. Yeah. And there was a reprint of Transformers #1 this week from Skybound, 1984 Transformers. But I'm going to be getting the did I already order it? You know what I mean? I'm going to be getting the when Skybound does the hardcover collection. I think it's only one volume. I think I put in for the pre-order because I got the G.I. Joe one. Yeah. And I think being handed a Star Wars comic assignment would be an initial blessing and a long-term curse. It's cool to work on Star Wars, but the constraints are awful. Well, yeah, I mean, they have 7 editors in that group. I count them. And I guess it's like Batman says, you know what I mean? I know you got rights. I sometimes count them to keep myself from going crazy. And I almost picked that up. Yeah, and I was just like, no, you're going to get the hardbound collection. Just you wait for that. You'll get them all. You know what I mean? It just came down to space and just indeed. So, yeah. Wow. See, we've been talking about Star Wars for an hour. I can still, dude, I mean, the Amanda Stenberg, the Amanda Stenberg video, that's great. I mean, but it's very one way. They don't do you even ask how am I helping? Or just who am I helping besides ourselves? Just and our hearts are with you, and you know what I mean? And we're going to reach out to Art T-Bear as well, I promise you. And yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Wes was right the other day. Yeah, a bunch of us got hit with hard times, hard stuff in different places. And but yeah, I like Star Wars Theory. I like what he has to say. It's amazing, like, because they're just like progressive people, and just they'll turn on you, and like, oh, I don't like him anymore. He's stinky. You know what I mean? Now he's a pariah. Now he's got to be demonetized. Now he's going to have, you know what I mean? Are you kidding me? Now he abuses his platform by not sending the proper hygiene, the proper message. I would say, yeah, I totally think that. Yeah, I have to get the next one. I got the 51st and the 52nd, and I got the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics, which is that's a good pickup too as well. But yeah, I mean, the Overstreet Price Guide is the industry standard, I feel, especially too when you want to talk about the ages of comics. It has a glossary in the back, and it succinctly delineates the ages of comics. Like the Golden Age technically goes from 1938 until 1945. Then there's the Atom Age between 1945 and 1955. Nobody I know uses Atom Age. I always have heard it as the Golden Age goes from 1938 to 1955, but there is that room there. Then the Silver Age from 1956 until 1970, the Bronze Age from 1970 until 1984. From 1984 until 1993 is the Copper Age. And then from 1993 until today, we are in some nebulous catch-all modern age of comics. That's according to the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide's glossary. So there's we're in some kind of 30-year era. I don't see that. But I do see there will be some more proper alignment when the need comes up. How do we define that age of comics? I would define it between 2000 and 2015. Seriously. I would push up the Copper Age up to 2000 and give it its proper 14 years, such as with the Silver and Bronze Age. And then have another age of comics. How long does an age of comics last? I think it's about 15 years or so. And Overstreet's grading guide is the industry standard. Their ages of comics are not. Yeah, because it's there are different standards from different companies. But I think appealing to the Overstreet glossary is a standard. I can agree that we could all agree on. I can have my own interpretation, which I do. Seriously, the Copper Age goes into the 2000. There's a Millennium Age from 2000 to 2015. And from 2015 until, say, 2030, we're going to be trapped in this post-modern age of comics. That's my ages of comics. So I see it. The Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age. I'm a Bronze Age baby myself. The Copper Age, and extend that Copper Age from what happened in 1993? Image Comics and Vertigo Comics. But guess what? What happened in 1996, 1997? The market imploded. But what happened in 1999 and 2000? You had Warren Ellis on Stormwatch creating The Authority, and you had Grant Morrison coming off of Justice League of America, JLA, and doing New X-Men. It was a new time for comics, and that age is over. That's how I see it. And then from 2000 to 2015, you have Marvel Knights. You have the new Wildstorm. You have all this, just cross-gen. You have the second age of Vertigo. There's so much going. I'm totally here for conversations about the ages of comics, because a 30-year modern age of comics, I just no. that doesn't work. It's got to be out there somewhere. Pretty much. This is the interweb. It's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But yeah, I mean, it's hyper politicized and hyper divisive and vitriol and hate and bigotry and rage and making Star Wars a safer space for black nerds. I mean, I know a lot of black nerds and geeks. I mean, geez. I mean, that's the postmodernism, and that's, you can keep that. So if you think that's an integral ingredient in modern Star Wars or in modern fiction, we're going to disagree on that. And thank goodness that I have tons of old movies to watch and enjoy and get back to. And Star Wars being some of them, you know. How y'all doing? Thank you so much for spending some of your day with us, talking about, you know, Star Wars. I mean, seriously, I can talk about Star Wars all day long. I'm doing it right now. I think that appealing to our sports allegory here, or is it a metaphor? It's just a different flavor of fandom. And I can see the similarities, you know, between, like, you know, think of like a football hooligan where Liverpool won today 3-0 over Man U, right? I mean, they going nuts in the streets, you know what I mean? You think that anyone, you know what I mean, wearing Simply Red is just getting, like, you know, hopefully they're not getting brained in the head with a bottle. Have you seen actual violence because of sports rivalries? Are you shitting me? I have. I've seen some kid from a Montreal Canadiens jersey in the men's room lying in a puddle of piss and beer and his head fucking cracked open at a 2008 playoff game. No lie, man. Fucking shit happens. People get drunk. People get, you know what I mean? It's sports fans. But other fandoms, do they share this, like a meme? Do they share this, like, you know, the same energy, the same spirit? Are they allowed to? I mean, just because your sports fans are rabid and violent, can be. There's always a potential, you know. I think that was the match today. It was in Man City. I'm only a peripheral, you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hooligans in Britain, ultras in Italy. I mean, every European, you know, every European has some kind of soccer rivalry. And there is definitely some kind of rivalry between Lucas era fans and Disney era fans. There is a rivalry. All right. And it is like Red Sox and Yankees fans. They don't like each other. They would spit on the other. They would commit violence on the other under the right circumstances. I don't see the difference in the fandoms in a way. I think it's, you know, that could be some, you know, some of it too. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, often duplicated, never reproduced, my friend Thomas Gilkey. Hey, buddy. Thomas Gilkey and I are hanging out tomorrow at the Boston Esplanade Beer Garden. If you are a local person and would like the open invite, come and check us out. 1:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern, hanging out for no more than 2 beers for me because it's a work night. You know what I mean? And some pizza. Apparently they have, and you know what? It's Labor Day. It's also the official Boston moving days as well. It's we call it Alston Christmas. It's where you can, like, people just throw out everyone's like leases run out, you know, in September. You know what I mean? And that's when the students move back to Boston. It's a big college town. And so September 1st, it's like it's local moving day, and people throw out the most oddest shit. It'd be like the perfectly fine DVDs and Blu-rays, just like someone's leaving. They just like, I can't take this, but hey, here's some free movies. I get a shitload of movies every year on that. A new coffee table. You're not garbage picking. People are literally just they can't take it with them. So they put a sticker on it like, hey, take me. I'm clean. I'm free. That's what I say on my website, my dating website. That's what it says on the headline of my Match.com page. Take me up on it, baby. Oh man, exactly. I mean, just take your soccer fans, or basketball fans, or baseball fans, football fans. You know what I mean? Just Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans. You know what I mean? Just Disney. You're the expansion team. You're a new team, and you got funny looking, uniforms made with ultra, modern colors and a weird mascot name. And then you have to play against classic teams that have been here the entire time in old stadia. I think there's a huge correlation of fandoms. It's crowd mentality. You know what I mean? It's accepted kind of cultural mores. It was perfectly fine to say Yankees suck in Boston for several years. Suck what? Isn't there always a suck eggs? Or, you know what I mean? Or is there always some kind of homophobic taunt in the sucks thing? Food for thought. Yeah. I watched Amanda Stenberg's video. I gave her 8 minutes. Why not? She's a young person. She's 25 years old, turning 26 soon. I read her wiki, of course. She's got 2 half sisters from her dad's side of the family, so she's basically kind of like an only child. She was a child actress. She was in Hunger Games. Dude, I remember her in Hunger Games. She was really good. She got killed like right off the bat. She was like, the little girl, like you put this little girl in the Hunger, I mean, that was the tribute. Yeah, she was in Hunger Games, and it was Jennifer Lawrence who, but it's a lot of postmodern academic jargon, and just there's no. Yeah, I think to go forward and to have some authenticity, you need to, maybe do some kind of assess me, like how am I helping is one thing, but how am I potentially hurting someone unintentionally with my impact here? To blame it all on the incels, to blame it all on the far right and conservatives and get out there and vote, and everything's got to be politicized. And it's just like, oh gosh, it's like that is weaponized empathy. And that is privilege. That person is coming from a place of privilege. That person is like, but they're a young person as well. They were probably 22 or 23 years old when they started filming The Acolyte, and I don't know, just like, yeah, and she does admit, this is just me coming from my own bubble, and that's like the closest thing to an admission, hey, she brings up biases, but the left have their biases too, but they're not all virtues, and they're not angels, and they're not blameless angels, and they can be just as mean as the older fans. And then hence this rivalry. There was a rivalry going on. In the Roman times, there were the chariot races at the Circus Maximus. And the 2 big teams were the Blues and the Greens. Now, you had 2 other teams, the Reds and the Whites, and nobody really gave a hoot about them. They were like the Kansas City Royals, you know what I mean? Or just like, well, the Reds, the Blues and the Greens were like the Red Sox and the Yankees in a way. with rivalry and just people, there were hundreds of years of this and real violence. These are like the roots of European football fandom, in my humble opinion. But I just find fandom's fascinating me, especially lately. And because I am a Buddhist, I have Buddhist values, and Buddhism introduced me to Hinduism because Buddha Siddhartha Gautama was a Brahmin, and he was raised to be a Hindu priest. And so he knew the Vedas, he knew the Upanishads, he knew the Bhagavad Gita. And he became that knowledge, he became the wisdom. So everything, Buddhism, a lot of Buddhism has to do, you have to realize and respect the Hinduism that is inherent in Buddhism. It's kind of like also, because I came to the same realization. I'm an ordained minister, an amateur theologian, Reverend Sully. That to better understand Jesus, you have to understand Judaism and Jewish people. Jesus wasn't a Christian. He wasn't even one of the first Christians. No, Jesus was a rabbi. He was a Jewish dude, man, And I just, that gives you a better cultural lens. And you know what I mean? I'm a theologian, an amateur theologian. These are the conversations that I have, the literature that I read. I've got so many books on religion, world religion. I like when things overlap and we come to a closer wisdom. Namaste. And Star Wars had a lot to do with that. Star Wars was spiritually coded by a crunchy Northern California guy from San Rafael or Mill Valley or Marin County, California, and he instilled into this mythology and this magic, this wonderful Eastern spirituality coding. We have the words for that these days, coding. Lucas peppered that thing with Eastern spirituality, and that's what kind of saved me from Roman Catholicism. The nuns could not compete with the false. It's true. and that, yeah. Want to read some comic books? Want me to review some comic books? Would you like some of that? Let's see. What did I read this week? I read a bunch of comic books. With Batman Offworld #5 was great. There's the Superman Muhammad Ali facsimile, the oversized reprint. It goes for $14.99, but it might be worth it. It's beautiful, great. This is some Bronze Age, heights of perfection. Great story, and also I can see where Gail Simone was completely ripping off that cold open in her Action Comics Part 1. I read Power Girl #12. It didn't suck. It was perfectly fine. I liked it. I like a cute Kara Zor-El. She's not Dr. Page Stringman or whatever it was. She'll always, that'll fix itself over time. That'll self-correct. That's what I was saying. The Justice Society of America, these 85-year-old characters, actually Power Girl debuted in 1975. But these Earth 2 characters all had their modern appearance in Doomsday Clock #7 or Infinite Frontier #0 or 1. And that's why Alan Scott's always been gay. And that's why Power Girl has always been Dr. Page instead of Karen Starr. And that, you know what I mean? And that's just some food for thought, But it was okay. It still has the Dawn of DC trade dress, which I find very interesting, because DC is right now in, they'll be switching from, I guess, Dawn of DC as a trade dress to All In very shortly, probably by November or so, when the absolute universes start coming out. Also, DC Comics is switching back to their old 70s style bullet logo. Hey, I like that. Why not? What else did I read? NYX #2 was doing pretty solid until the last page when they had to go all postmodern with like, this is my truth kind of thing. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm just tired of that level of bullshit. The Venomverse Reborn #3 wasn't terrible. It was Twilight Zone-y, and I liked it. Venom War Zombiotes #1 was off the cuff fun. Juan Jose Reap is an amazing artist. And it's just zombified symbiotes and the Venom War. And that's it. You know, it's just Venom War. Spider-Gwen was moderately entertaining. The art resembled Pepe Larraz. The way the panels move and with the lined art, it was kind of cool. I liked Star Wars Ahsoka #2 well enough. There was a few hand-drawn onomatopoeia, these sound effects of a comic book, but it's weak sauce for its penciler Giorgianti. He's a lot better than this, but when he drops the ball, it is epic. Giorgianti drew one of my all-time worst comics, and it was Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne, issue 4, I think it was. Terrible. But also I love Giorgianti's work usually. I mean, I was tuned into Buffy season 8 and 9, and he did almost every issue with Joss Whedon and Brian K. Vaughan, and just like it had a real good continuity, like art-wise, to have like one artist basically be on the entire run for years. That's great stuff. Marvel had an 85th anniversary issue. It was okay. There was a Steve Scroce short, and the manga short was pretty good. You know, it was good. It was the Hulk annual, and that ended up in my pull list because Hulk is on my pull list, and I was going to pick it up anyway, but I was pleasantly surprised to see it in my pull list. So we'll get to that when we get to that. Fantastic Four was good. It was a decent, solid issue by Ryan North. For me, Fantastic Four has been kind of hit or miss. I want to stop hemming and hawing so much. I hear there's a drinking game out there that you have to drink every time I hem, haw, say or the word and. Y'all out there getting fucked up. Fantastic Four was good. I like the Rob Liefeld Deadpool team up #1. It's going to be his last Deadpool. This is his last go with Marvel Comics. It's hammy. It's cheesy. It's kind of bad. But who cares? It's 110% fun. It's Rob Liefeld. Or is it Liefeld? Let me know in the chat. I'm always bottling that one. But it is so fun. It's just consistent with like this, with Liefeld's own Deadpool. We got Cody Ziegler's Deadpool. We've got a Jerry Duggan Deadpool. We got Alyssa Wong's Deadpool. There's a lot of good and a lot of not so good Deadpool writers out there. But I like Rob's stuff a lot. It is so fun, and it's all over the top. It's good shit. Thank you, Mo, for dropping in and hanging out with us. And Salam, have a good day. God bless you. And we'll see you soon, buddy. Thank you so much. The Chasm Kane book was decent. I didn't mind that one bit. And it's just, it's just some Spider-Verse stuff. But Amazing Spider-Man #56. John Romita Jr. comes back to do the art. So it's Romita Jr. and Scott Hanna. I think this is some of his best looking stuff. I mean, it's some really good fight scenes in ASM 56. Some really good panels, camera work, the way just like the panel pacing, what John Romita chooses to visualize. This guy's a master. There's never going to be another Romita Jr. I mean, he's just, every issue that he does is a masterwork. And some of it doesn't work. Some of it's a little clunky here and there. I don't mind that. It's authentic and it's real to me. And it's just, big John Romita Jr. fan. But it was Legacy issue 975. So it's Amazing Spider-Man 56. Now they just had an oversized issue 50. And then before that, they had an oversized issue 25. And because Spider-Man releases twice a month. So, I mean, that was a year ago. a little over a year ago. And then there was a Legacy 950, and all of these were oversized and overpriced. Like, and it's like, but oh my goodness. Thomas Gilkey's a Rangers fan, I bet. You wear a blue shirt at night, don't you? Don't you? Say it! Say it! That Baysbrook sucks! Mike Rick the Swallows! Oh, what's up with the homophobia, huh? See, I told you, the patriarchy and it's the inculcated, systematic. Here's something that we were talking about over at Wes. Everyone likes Aliens versus Avengers #1, except this guy. I like Aliens crossover books usually, and it begs a question: is it all one universe? Because there have been 2 Superman Aliens books. There has been a Green Lantern Alien book that was really effing good. Then there was Wildcats Alien special by Warren Ellis, where Warren Ellis has the aliens, the xenomorphs, basically kill off the Stormwatch team. And what was remaining of that Stormwatch team was basically the Stormwatch Black team, the covert wet work team, and they became the Authority. That is the double truth, Ruth. What else do we got? Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, I think it was Esad Ribic did the art, and it was okay, but I felt it was all over it was a hot mess, man. That's how I described it. And yeah, I like Aliens. It's a what? What? A Hundo Meowth. What is that? Explain this to me. Oh, it's rare. Oh, okay. Good for you. Awesome. X-Force #2 is okay. It was a little all over the place, but it was fine. X-Men #3 by Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman. Adjectiveless X-Men, as opposed to uncanny and exceptional, and then X-Force, X-Factor, Phoenix. Storm's having one. It's going to have her own title. It might be a mini, though. X-Men 3 was all right, but the last page had, it looked like Scott was having a panic attack. And I'm all set with trauma in comics. Now, Scott Summers has had a very hard time, especially at the end of the Krakoan Age. He was captured, he was tortured, he was put on a sham trial, scheduled to be executed publicly on global television, and Jeannie died again. No, Thomas, Disney Star Wars just smells that way. It's true. Pew, 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 pew. Ah! Safe space. Woo! Safe space. Kathleen Kennedy's safe space. Take the boys away from their toys and break them and make all the girls happy with the fanboy tears in their coffee cups. Kathleen Kennedy's safe space, making the force female. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. X-Men 3 was all, but I'm so sick and tired with trauma in comics. Maybe it's the Sopranos' fault. I see the Sopranos as being the fault of a lot of things, with trauma in comics as being some kind of weird substitute for actual therapy, and also all the scenes of people eating and talking over dinner scenes and food. I feel this all comes from Sopranos. Yeah. But there's Scott having a panic attack at the last panel, and it's just like, oh, just go and get some therapy. I mean, I want some inspirational heroes. I'm so all set with our fictions being some kind of substitute for therapy. Go and talk to a fucking therapist if you need to. Oh my God, everything in comics does not have to be some kind of just like reaction to trauma and to be caught, and sorry. Ultimate X-Men #6 came out this week, written and drawn by Peach Momoko. Great art. It does have a decent story. My dissatisfaction with this book is purely taste-driven. That's it. It's not for me. I don't like it. I love Peach Momoko. I love her art. I love her style. I love her sense of humor and whimsy. I'm getting the story. I'm reading it. I'm just not buying it anymore. Seriously, all 5 heroic leads are women. There are 0 heroic men. All the men in this book for 6 issues have been creeps, perverts, abusive fathers, physically abusive people, a host for the Shadow King, and self-deletions. There are no heroic men in this book. And it's it's an X-Men book. I get it. They're just trying to do something different. I can respect that. Heck, I was in on that and all for it. It's so unsatisfying. And then this bias, this anti-male bias that is so obvious in this book, I can't not unsmell that stink. You can't unring that bell. And I'm so glad I put it down. I'm never going to reread these books again. And I love her art. Okay. And she's got a sense of whimsy and detail and little cultural ciphers too, like in every issue. I kind of, but it is totally a girl's manga. They call that shoujo. Shonen means boys, like Shonen Jump. I mean, that's like, this is Boys Jump Weekly. That's what it is. Stories for boys. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, all that stuff. And there are shoujo stories, more romance. You know what I mean? Stories for girls. This is definitely a stories for girls. I wish it was like advertised that way, or I just feel like it's a bait and switch. There's just no X-Men action in this. X-Men has an expectation. It's about action adventure. Seriously, and uniforms and code names. And this is just, this is just girls just want to have fun, or girls just want to have mutant powers. You know what I mean? I've seen this before. They're teenage high school girls. You know what I mean? I like that movie already. It's called Girls Just Want to Have Fun, 1984, with Sarah Jessica Parker and Helen Hunt and Shannon Doherty. And you know what I mean? Quick, slow. Quick, slow. The dance off on Dance TV. And Dad won't let me go. I'm under curfew. And I'm a teenager. And I'm in high school. Yay. Girls just want to have fun. And that's Ultimate X-Men is this, is girls just want to have fun, in my humble opinion. And I'm not trying to be mean to Peach at all. I'm having a great time reading Wonder Woman Earth 1. I bring that book to the bar, to my pub, and I have a pint of Guinness, and I will read this book. And I'm having a good time. It fits in my bag. It was $10. It's a lot of comic books. Yeah. Fuck cancer. Yeah, exactly. The hundo is like the Bo Jackson of Pokemon. Oh, indeed. 2 sports special. I read a couple of indies. I read Remote Space is impressive. Remote Space #3. This is a sci-fi book about the far future and evolution. Humanity took 2 really divergent pathways, one technologically enhanced and the other a bit more primitive and biology based. But now they have to work together in order to save their own mutual future. And it's okay. And you got just one person, Rathburn. He's writing it, drawing it, inking it, coloring it, lettering it. And it's really impressive that it's a one-man show or a one-person show. Speaking of Peach Momoko, I wrote this down in my notes. Monstrous by Marjorie Liu. I think it was issue 52 or 53. but it's going on hiatus until 2025, which isn't all that far away, to be honest with you. It's a couple of months. Sacrificers did that. Local Man did that. And so I'm thinking, I just like, I hope it, Saga took an egregiously long break, and it broke it just like, you can see, like, don't do what Saga did. You lost a paying audience that was really dialed in, but hey, that was a creative decision. Maybe the cup was empty, and maybe you just needed to refill the cup. Oh, thanks, Doc. Very much. And but I wish Peach Momoko was doing the interior pages for Marjorie Liu's Monstrous. That seems like that would be a great fit, because Monstrous is a really deep, huge story, and a lot of fantasy elements, a lot of manga elements, a lot of Eastern elements and Western elements. It's a great melting pot, and it's good to see Marjorie Liu still publishing and still writing and doing her gig. She was great on Marvel Comics 20 years ago. I mean, why isn't Marjorie Liu still writing Marvel Comics? Well, because sometimes these writers come and go. They really do. They have cycles, and only very few really stick and stay. And sometimes they bounce around. They really do. But, like how many, like, like who can you think of? Like, there's so many writers, like, you barely hear from anymore. King Spawn is pretty fun. It's basic. It's got great action and fight scenes and a cybernetic killer gorilla. Fun goes a long way with me, let me tell you. And King Spawn this week was really fun. Sacrificers, great book. Put a pin in that, as my therapist says. If I actually listen to my therapist, I actually don't. It's part of my outreach, and they're there for me when I need them. And Void Rivals really grew on me. I'm not going to spoil that last page because it's we got some more dovetailing elements from the Energon universe. So we see some stuff that happened in the Free Comic Book Day one-shot special. If you read that one. And sad news, Daniel Warren Johnson will be coming off of Transformers sooner than later. I wonder. And so begins the Ben Abernathy stewardship of the Energon universe. There was a prototypical Energon universe that was pre-Ben Abernathy. Now, Ben Abernathy left DC Comics to work at Skybound with Kirkman. But there was like a volume 1, the initial offerings of Energon universe being Void Rivals, Duke, Cobra Commander, and the first, 12 issues of Transformers. At least the first 6. That Daniel Warren Johnson won the Eisner for. And Paul Pelletier's doing a really good job. It's Hoagie Corona. Sorry. Paul Pelletier's took over from Mooneyham on G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and that's working too. But Real American Hero is not the Energon universe. Joshua Williamson, though, is having a G.I. Joe book, Energon Universe 1. That's coming out in November. Totally in on that. Totally. But this week's Void Rivals is really good. Gromit number 4, it's nice. It's Rick Remender and Brian Posen, and it's slice of life. It's like an 80s movie. And it's a limited series. It's written for the trade. It's nice. It's an 80s movie. I said that. But nothing really happens besides from story stuff. It's pretty tame. And it's just like, sometimes I wonder, like, why even publish this as a serial? I don't know. Convert number 1 was interesting. It was a good sci-fi tale. The art was keen, and the letterer is on the cover credits, and it's not Hassan Osmani Allahu. There is a 1984 Transformers facsimile that came out this week too. And for anyone out there that are Transformers fans now because of Energon Universe, maybe pick that up. It's on Skybound. It's basically just reprinting the 1984. It was originally supposed to be a miniseries. It was like one of four. It says so on the top. And so when issue 5 comes up, it says issue 5 out of 5, and that's the famous one with Shockwave, and it says the Autobots are dead. Like as the writings on the wall. And so, hey, James, good to see you. How are you? Good to see you, man. And what did I get this week at my local comic book shop? This is a bag of Funnybooks, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books in my pull, and I got 1 off the shelf. We've got Flash Gordon #2 by Jeremy Adams and Will Conrad. Excellent book. This is fun. It's on Mad Cave Studios. This is just classic adventure hero stuff. It exists. It's out there, waiting for you. This was fun. Cy Spurrier, he's okay here, but it's issue 8 of Hellblazer, Dead in America. It's the closest thing you'll ever get to having real on-brand OG John Constantine in your lives ever again. And some really good Etrigan the Demon. The rhyming Etrigan is in here. I was going to pick this up. It's chapter 6 in the Death Zone. Oh, actually, it's chapter 6 in the Infinity Watch. Now, this is an event that's going on, and it's an old school Marvel Annuals event. So it's self-contained. It's been going on. It's just in all the different annuals, and I've been reading them all, and I really enjoy the hell out of this. This is a really good fight between Thanos and Hulk that goes for pages. Look at that double page spread. Now, this is not even done by Philip Kennedy Johnson or Danny Earls or Nick Klein. This is written by Derek Landy and art by Jeff Shaw. And so it really doesn't even fit into what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing in his arc with Charlie and the eldest and the first Hulk, which is all it's got. I love Hulk right now. Really, first time in my life I've ever been like a constant Hulk reader, and it feels darn good. I love it. But this was really good. Now it's yeah, just really good Hulk Thanos fight. Good stuff. This is Sacrificers number 11. Great book. Good excuse for serialized storytelling. Yeah, it could be, again, my own argument probably fails against me, saying why even bother releasing it in floppy form. You know what I mean? But it's not a mini series. It's just like this has Rick Remender dude, Black Science was huge, and it was really interesting. Something I want to get back into. You know what I mean? But yeah, Remender's got the sauce on this one. This is just so well done, and I look forward to it every new issue. I do. This is wonderful. This is a mini series, but there will be another Nemesis after this as well. Nemesis is getting a sidekick, and it's a great play on Robin, who took an oath with Batman with candlelight, ceremony and ritual, and instead of a candle, Nemesis is using a Molotov cocktail. That's just so cool. This is a bad guy that you can really enjoy. And it's almost 4:20. I want to be prepared for it. Nemesis Rogues Gallery by Mark Miller. This is good stuff. My pick of the week for $9.99, no advertisements, 80-page giant. The 0 Hour 30th anniversary special. I love the alternate costumes on Supergirl and on Wonder Girl. Just flipping her suit from red to blue really works. I mean, putting Kara in the black costume, that really works. And there's just a lot of good artists in here. Look at this. It's Jerry Ordway. We got Dennis Cowens, Daryl Banks, Kelly Jones, Tom Grummett, Norm Rapmund, Paul Pelletier, Howard Porter. This is chock full of great art. And this is just, it's a celebration of 0 Hour, Crisis in Time. It was now Crisis on Infinite Earths created the one DC universe. There was a multiverse. There were infinite Earths before that. And now you have the consolidated history, this retcon, this reboot. You have John Byrne's Man of Steel. You have Frank Miller, Batman Year One. You have George Perez's Wonder Woman and the redefinition of Wonder Woman, starting in the Copper Age. You know, by 1993 became apparent, 1994, that there were a lot of continuity errors. There was just some things, it's just that the fans weren't shutting up about, just things that didn't make sense. And so this was capitalizing on a publishing trend that's near and dear to my heart, the zero issue. Zero issues have a great history, but they really got like a new life in the early 90s, especially say with Valiant Comics, Exo Man of Wars issue 0, and some of the Image Comics had issues number 0 as well. What is a zero issue? A zero issue is a publishing gimmick, and it's trying to get your attention to get a comic to sell a magazine to you. And in the 0 issue will be like a retelling of the origin story, a new story set around that era and its history to set up what's coming next in the line to get you interested and to make room for, here's canon, and here's, we need to respect canon and keep it, but also we need to, canon can really weigh down the future and the potential of future storytelling. And I really enjoyed 0 Hour because it went from like issue 7 and it counted down to issue 0. And then every comic line wide got the 0 issue treatment. I love Flash issue 0. I got a whole bunch of the 0 Hour 0 issues. And my favorite part of 0 Hour had this, the collection had, I think the 0 Hour issue 0 itself. Thank you, AL. Good to see you. Thank you so much. God bless. And you're going to get through this. And however we can help you, ask, I'll ask you off air and see, what we can do for, seriously. God bless you and your family. And there was a pullout of a timeline saying like 37 years ago, 37 years before this, Krypton exploded. And that makes baby Kal-El 37 years old today. And it says that like 30 years ago, the Waynes are killed in Crime Alley. And so I loved that kind of stuff. Wow, Nicola Scott. Love her stuff. But this was fun. It really is. A lot of great art. Simple storytelling. This is just, it's made for us old fans. It really is. I think there'll be an issue 2. Maybe. But yeah, that's that. Yeah. And those are the comic books for the week. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. It's I'm hungry. I'm gonna get my supper now. I'm gonna get me a pint of Guinness or 2, and I'm gonna get me a big old plate of Irish chicken curry. And it's great because it comes with fries and rice. And I get a thing for curry fries and Irish curry. And thank you so much for tuning in, and keep an eye out for Gratitude on weekday mornings. And we'll be doing this again next week as well with the Pop Culture Show. We started a little early today, but gee, I just wanted to talk about Star Wars, the safe space. Safe space. Kathleen Kennedy, safe space. Aw. I mean, yeah, I mean, does it sell? Is it satisfying? Are fandoms, can we reconcile things? There's rivalry now. And it reminds me of the toxic fandoms of others, of sports. Yeah. And wow, has it become sport? Has it become, are the Disney and the Lucas fans now the modern day Roman greens and the blues? Could be. Could be. Thank you so much for tuning in today. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again with more videos. And we will see you in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.